Good morning and welcome to Council's General Council meeting on Wednesday the 27th of August 2025, and we are starting at 9 a.m. on the dot. Firstly, can we make a note of all those present? Okey-doke. Apologies and leaves of absence. We have apologies from Mayor Janice Moriarty and CEO Aaron Johansson. Both are attending CQ Rock duties in Brisbane. We also have an apology recorded for Councillor Wilkins, and we may just have a couple of councillors that may be joining us a little later. So can I call for any other leaves of absence? Sorry, can I record those apologies? Mover, please. Councillor Hindmarsh. Seconder, Councillor Whiteman. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. And now to leaves of absence.
Thank you. I'd like to request a leave of absence for the SBF meeting on the 23rd and the General Council meeting on the 24th of September.
Okay, that will require a mover. Can we have a mover for that? Councillor Whiteman, seconder. Councillor Donaldson, all those in favour? Carried. Councillor Whiteman.
Yeah, I would like to request a leave of absence for the September meeting, as for personal reasons I won't be able to attend.
Okay, to accept that we'll need a mover. Councillor Donaldson, seconder. Councillor Hindmarsh, all those in favour? Carried. And Councillor Burns and Councillor Newman have joined us. Thank you. So moving on to acknowledgement of country, we wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which we work and live and recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay our respects to elders past and present. Now we move to our opening prayer and welcome Pastor Ross Grierson from Emerald Hopelands Church to deliver the opening prayer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, councillors. Let us pray together. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time of growth and development in our community. We sense a spirit of hope of rising amongst us, and we are grateful for the inspiration brought to us through the recent visits of the ministers and the positive outlook that it's stirring in people's hearts. Lord, you often remind us through your word of times when your people face seasons of change and preparation. And in 2 Kings 3:16-17, you called for the dwellers of the valley to dig ditches, promising that though they would see no wind or rain, that you would send water to sustain both people and livestock. In the same way, we pray for wisdom to prepare the well for the future. Help us build the infrastructure that we will bring prosperity and make ready for the growth and opportunities that lies ahead. May every decision made here today be guided by your wisdom for the good of our community and for the generations to come. Father, I just pray a blessing over this council with unity, vision and courage to lead with integrity. May our work together be like those ditches dug in faith, ready to fill with the blessings that you pour out. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you for that prayer, Pastor, and it's a good reminder of why we're here. And as councillors, I guess our job is to listen, lead and make the decisions that serve our communities well. So it's not always easy, but starting with a moment of reflection like that certainly grounds us. So I hope that we carry that through the spirit through today's discussions. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, that brings us to item 5.1. It's the confirmation of minutes from previous meetings. Can I have a mover for that one, please? Mover, Councillor Cypher. Seconder, Councillor Hindmarsh. So I guess we've all had a chance to look at those. Any questions or comments? None. So all those in favour? Carried. Business arising from those minutes? No. Item 7, review of outstanding meeting actions. Do we have any questions or comments regarding those? No, moving on. Deputations, we have nil. Mayoral minute, we have nil. And that brings us to conflicts of interest. So before we begin today's proceedings, I'd like to ask if there's any councillors who have a conflict of interest to declare in relation to items on the agenda. If you do so, please make it known now. None. So again, as we move through the meeting, if you become aware of a potential conflict that wasn't previously identified, I ask that you bring it to council's attention at the earliest possible opportunity. Thank you. Item 11.1, that is petitions. Are there any petitions?
No, Madam Chair, no petitions have been received.
Thank you. Now, to item 12.1.1, the monthly finance report for July 2025. Can I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Hindmarsh. Seconder? Councillor Burns. And now handing over to Helen Kirby, Manager of Finance. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Through the Chair, good morning, councillors. I'm pleased to present Council's monthly finance report for your consideration for July. This report provides a comprehensive overview of Council's financial performance for the reporting period, including analysis of operating and capital expenditure, revenue trends and budget variances. To provide further detail and respond to these questions, I now hand over to Helen Kirby, Manager of Finance, to present the report.
Thank you, General Manager. Through the Chair, and good morning, councillors. This agenda item presents the July Finance Report, which is the first report for the new financial year. The year-to-date results at the end of July are measured against the original budget, which was adopted at the special budget meeting on the 18th of June. As the external auditors complete their review of last financial year's financial statements over the next couple of months, there may be some adjustments to the opening balance sheet figures presented. Any prior year adjustments, however, will not affect the current year profit and loss performance. While it is still early in the financial year to identify firm trends based on just 1 month of data, the tabled report shows that we are starting the year broadly in line with budget. July results often reflect timing issues, and as most budget line items are phased monthly, some early variances are expected to smooth out as the year progresses. Section 2 of the report indicates that operating revenue was generally in line with budget, while operating expenses were under budget due to timing differences in materials and services costs, resulting in a more favourable operating result than forecast. The Capital Works program for 25-26 is now underway, with expenditure being typically low in July. Any underspends at this stage of the year are expected and reflect timing rather than cost savings. Section 3 of the report shows that at the end of July, approximately 1.8% of the total capital budget has been spent. When committed expenditure through purchase orders is included, this percentage increases to 24%. As at the 31st of July, Council had cash of $105.6 million and debt of just over $45 million. Combined rates and water arrears at the end of July were $8.8 million, representing a $1 million reduction since June. A breakdown of the arrears amount is provided at attachment 7 of the report. In closing, the recommendation is that Council adopt the monthly finance report for the period ended 31st of July 2025. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions on the report.
Opening up for questions and comments. As the mover, Councillor Hindmarsh, do you have opening comments or reserve your right?
No comments or questions. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the councillors? No. Thank you, Manager Finance. I guess we've probably all reviewed it in our agenda and understood it because it's always so comprehensive. So always appreciate the work that goes into the financials to be presented every month. So any closing comments as the mover? Councillor Hamash?
Through the chair. No closing comments, thank you.
Okay, so the officer recommendation is that Central Highlands Regional Council adopt the monthly financial report for the period ended 31st of July 2025. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. We now move to item 12.2.1, flood warning infrastructure transfer to Bureau of Meteorology. Can I please have a mover for that one? Councillor Cruz moves. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cypher. Now handing over to Jason Houlihan, Acting Manager or General Manager of Communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, councillors. So the report today seeks endorsement of the ongoing negotiations with the Bureau of Meteorology, known as BOM, for the potential transfer of ownership and maintenance of several key rain and flood gauges across the Central Highlands. The Bureau of Meteorology is actively enhancing Australia's flood warning network through the National Flood Warning Infrastructure Network program. This is a funded program by the government, which is $236 million investment from the Australian government. This is an initiative aimed to upgrade, acquire and simplify ownership of high priority rain and river gauges. The program is to be rolled out over a period of 10 years. So in Queensland, the program proposes to acquire up to 1,000 flood warning sites from local governments and other organisations over the next 5 years. Ongoing maintenance costs will be shared equally by the Bureau, BOM and the Queensland State Government once those transfer of ownerships. So the BOM the Bureau is collaborating with more than 60 Queensland councils to understand the flood warning network within our local communities and prioritise those high risk gauges that they may wish to acquire. So in Central Highlands Regional Council we have approximately 120 assets, so flood and river gauges, river and rain gauges. That's made up of ownership 71 by council. Currently 20 are owned by the Department of Natural Resources and Mines, Manufacturing and Regional and Rural Development. 18 are currently owned by the Bureau of Meteorology, 7 by Sunwater and 4 in Banana Shire that contribute to our catchments. So as you can see, the majority of those are currently owned by council, 71 of the 120. Of those 71, the Bureau have negotiated or wish to negotiate on 3 of those gauges, being the Bluff Alert, Duringa Alert and Foleyvale Alert in the first stage of the transition. So they've written to council requesting transfer of ownership of these assets and provided with draft consultation strategies to the property owners on which these gauges are located. Under the Local Government Regulations 2012, the transfer of ownership needs to be a council resolution, so under section 236, which is why it's been brought to council today. Council has identified significant risk in transferring the ownership of the 3 gauges in the first round, and that is with regard to the reliability of the flood warning network and the criticality of managing the risk around flooding to our communities in the Central Highlands. The ongoing maintenance and again reliability of those key assets is critical to our region. In negotiating the service level agreement, or a robust agreement will need to be negotiated on the maintenance of these assets with the Bureau and ensure that council maintains access to the data so that we can be informed and ensure the resilience of our communities is continued and maintained. So under the resolution, it does delegate to the resolution is seeking to delegate to the CEO the authority to negotiate the terms and conditions of the transfer of the critical flood gauges to the Bureau of Meteorology. And also, should the CEO be satisfied with those conditions, that approve the transfer of the assets to the Bureau of Meteorology. Happy to take any questions, councillors.
Thank you. I'll just make an opening statement as the mover. It is paramount to maintain a robust and reliable flood gauge network across our region. In delegating the authority to the CEO to negotiate the terms and conditions for the transfer of flood gauges, we must remain mindful of the standards that we currently uphold or intend to uphold in the maintenance of each gauge. Flood gauges are not isolated instruments. They form a part of a broader network that functions much like a chain. The integrity of this network depends on the strength of each individual link. A poorly maintained or unreliable gauge can compromise the effectiveness of the entire system, reducing our ability to respond to flood events with accuracy and timeliness. Therefore, it is essential that any transfer agreement includes clear expectations around maintenance standards and response times. Timely servicing and calibration are critical to ensuring that data from each gauge remains accurate and actionable. We must avoid situations where delays or inconsistencies in maintenance create vulnerabilities in our flood warning capabilities. So handing over to Councillor Whiteman.
Through the chair, you've stolen my thunder there. We have an extensive flood gauge network across this region that is the envy of most regions across Queensland. Certainly on the scale of the Central Highlands, there's nobody else comes close. And my greatest concern is access to the data, but the reliability of these gauges. We invest a lot of capital in keeping these gauges working across our region, and we're very proud of it, and they serve a very important function when there are times of flooding. My concern is that state governments change, and whilst there might be a current interest in keeping these gauges working, priorities do change in the future. I would like to see the agreement have some form of enforcement to force the state government to maintain these gauges in a reasonable condition. That said, I mean, when you're local government and you're talking about trying to enforce agreements upon state government, it does get very tricky. But that's my thoughts on the matter.
Councillor Hindmarsh.
Through the chair, I'd again agree with everything that that's been mentioned to now. It is as long as our disaster management team have got full access to the data, and that they are the gauges are maintained to a fully operational standard at all times. Whether we own them or whether they're owned by the state is really, or operated by the BOM is irrelevant. They're the standards that need to be upheld.
Councillor Newman.
Through the chair, my understanding of this report was this is a national program working with conjunction with state government. So it's another 2 layers of entities to communicate through to bring that first-hand information to us. Now, I'm hesitant to hand that over. Anyone who was involved with the emergency services realises how important that local knowledge in all areas is, and how communications may fail during times of emergency. So I would like a lot of clarity around any conditions about these flood gauges, because it impacts every one of our local communities. In the 10-11 floods, there were at least 5 divisions across our region. So it's important that they understand that that communication tool is essential to our community services and our emergency responses.
Councillor Cypher.
Thank you. Well, it's very rare for the government to actually want to take on council assets, extremely rare. They're usually trying to push their assets onto us. I do have concerns about this. However, our broad network of rain gauges has been funded, the majority of it has been funded money from levels of government. We had a very dedicated team or person, won't name them, that took responsibility in the disaster management team to roll out all these flood gauges and to maintain these flood gauges. That person is no longer in our organisation. As it's operational, I'm unaware whether that position is being fulfilled, is going to be filled. I believe there's another person in that team that is retiring as well. Is that position going to be filled? Are we actually moving into the future as a local government body able to maintain and continue the upgrade of these rain gauges? Because I was under my understanding that with the change of Telstra from 3G to 4G and whatever comes very quickly into the future, we are going to continually have to spend money, seek funding to continue the upgrade of these facilities ourselves. So are we capable or any more capable of doing that than 2 levels of government above us? Also, as the government takes over these assets across our region, is there going to be funding for us to actually maintain the gauges? Why, if they're taking over this asset over a 10-year period, why would they continue to fund a couple that some little council group in the footprint of Australia wants to have ownership of? Look, I wonder whether they will take as much interest and passion in these gauges as we do, but I think we have no real great say in this, because at the end of the day, they'll pull the funding, the ratepayers won't be able to afford to continue to fund them, so I think we need to support this.
Councillor Donaldson.
A lot of good points been made. My view, I've really got no issues with it, as long as they're maintained to a high level. It's no use having a gauge if it doesn't work. And the only thing I'm worried about with government bureaucracy I've seen is if something does go wrong, how long is it going to take to get it fixed? Especially in the summer period when a majority of our rain is. Other than that, Gay made a lot of good points. We have, if you look on the website, we've got the most gauges of any council in Queensland by far. It's the most extensive thing, which I think is a good thing, but that does come at a cost to council and the ratepayer. So, having all said that, I put my faith in our CEO to negotiate some sort of deal, because you have to take everything into consideration. The cost, the return on investment, which I think it's a good investment. Yeah, and a few other things, but yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. A good discussion. I guess it's like I support the CEO in undertaking these negotiations with the understanding that the long-term reliability and resilience of our flood monitoring network must remain the top priority. And I guess it's, must make note that this is only negotiations. This is making sure that, all of these concerns of council that we've just outlined are met. So with that, the officer recommendation is that Central Highlands Regional Council, pursuant to the Local Government Regulations 2012, Section 236 1B, 1, delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the authority to negotiate the terms and conditions for the transfer of critical flood gauge assets to the Bureau of Meteorology. 2, approves the transfer of the following 3 critical assets to the Bureau of Meteorology. Station name Bluff Alert, the Dringa Alert and Foley Vale Alert, with the station numbers in the table as presented. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favour? We record those. All those against? That can be noted. Carried. That brings us to item 12.3.1, the Draft Emerald Airport Master Plan 2025 for public consultation. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Cypher, a seconder, Councillor Donaldson. Now handing over to General Manager, Commercial and Corporate Services. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are pleased to present the draft Emerald Airport Master Plan 2025 for Council's consideration and endorsement for public consultation. This draft master plan outlines a strategic vision for the future of the Emerald Airport, identifying short, medium and long-term development priorities to ensure the airport continues to meet the needs of our region. It reflects Council's commitment to enabling reliable services, supporting economic growth and preparing for the future aviation demands. The draft master plan has been developed through internal review and benchmarking against similar regional airports, as well as consulting the elected members and key stakeholders. This draft master plan positions Emerald Airport as a critical enabler of regional prosperity. The endorsement of the draft master plan for public consultation will enable feedback from stakeholders, including businesses, industry partners and the community, ensuring that the final master plan reflects stakeholder aspirations and operational realities. Following the consultation period, a final draft will be brought back to Council for review and adoption. With me today is Brian Griggs, Manager of Airport, and we now hand back to the Chair for comments and questions from Council.
Thank you. As the mover, Councillor Cypher, do you have any opening comments?
No comments really. This is just a decision to put this to community consultation, and it'll be interesting to see what the community has to say about the draft. So thank you.
I guess I'd like to express my support for the draft of the 2025 Airport Master Plan progressing to public consultation. It's encouraging to see that the plan largely retains the recommendations of the 2019 Master Plan, which speaks volumes about the depth and accuracy of the original work. And it's clear the extensive development undertaken back then was well considered and has stood the test of time. So importantly, I think to note is the elevated focus on the Emerald Airport as a Medivac support hub. It reflects a growing regional need and highlights the airport's strategic value in delivering critical health services. I believe this is a high priority and deserves strong community and stakeholder engagement. So I too, along with Councillor Cypher, look forward to hearing the views of our residents and seeing how their feedback can help shape the final version of this important plan. Councillor Donaldson.
Morning, Brian. The report, it consists of over 100 pages. It's very extensive, but you're correct, it doesn't really differ much from the last report. It will be very interesting what the public does say, because as everyone knows, the airport is one of the, in my opinion, is one of the better assets that the council owns. And everyone uses the airport. So I think, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they say. I've had a good read of the report, but there's a lot to take in. So I think over the next month, I'll be reading it 2 or 3 times to let it soak in, and I'll be giving my opinion also. Thank you.
Councillor Newman.
Through the chair, it's great to see that this master plan is coming out for community consultation. I know it's been waiting in the wings for a long time, so it's great to see it progressed. I'm like Councillor Donaldson. I have a couple of items to give feedback on in the course of the community feedback phase, and yes, those long-term goals are quite visionary, so congratulations to looking forward to the future. Thank you.
As the mover, are there any closing comments, Councillor Cypher? Okay. So that officer recommendation is that Central Highlands Regional Council authorises the Chief Executive Officer to release the draft Emerald Airport Master Plan 2025 for public consultation. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Carried. That brings us to 12.3.2. That is the 2024-2025 Operational Plan Q4 Performance Report. Can we have a mover for that, please? Moved, Councillor Cypher. Can we have a seconder, please? Councillor Burns. And now handing over to Acting General Manager of Communities, Jason Holloway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today, we present today the 2024-25 Q4 Operational Plan Performance Report. At the end of Q4, the report shows a result of 8 projects being completed, 9 projects continuing to be delivered into the 25-26 financial year, and 1 project which is no longer progressing. Of note, key deliverable 1 was the rating strategy which was the delivery of a rating strategy for the future rating of properties within the Central Highlands region. This deliverable was led by the CEO and former CFO and was presented to Council as part of the 2025-26 budget considerations, which was adopted on 18th of June 2025. Of the 9 extended projects, a considerable amount of work has progressed on these, which has been made throughout the 24-25 financial year on these projects. These projects align with ongoing commitments to continue the improvement initiatives into 25-26 and beyond. An example of this is the SCADA implementation within our water and wastewater network, which forms part of a 10-year program of works. I'll now hand over to the General Manager of People, Safety and Legal to present his section departmental update for the report.
Thank you, General Manager Houlihan. Through the chair, good morning, councillors. Of course, not everything that our HR safety and legal team do is forward-facing for our communities to see, but I'm very pleased reading this Q4 report to note that the HR safety and legal teams have partnered with and strategically advised our other teams to achieve so many great community outcomes. But one community initiative that our teams were particularly pleased to help carry out was the vacant land strategy mentioned at page 197 of your agenda. Now, under the strategic guidance of this council, the property team was tasked to identify and then release parcels of council surplus vacant land across the region in an effort to stimulate residential development to provide much needed housing for residents in our communities and try to alleviate the housing pressures that unfortunately we're not alone in experiencing. In Q4, that saw us undertake a huge expression of interest campaign, creating or generating over 100 formal submissions, as well as huge engagement on social media and other platforms with people interested in buying land to build their homes in our region. Whilst councillors will be fully briefed on the specific results of that campaign at next month's General Council meeting, I'm very pleased to foreshadow that the Expression of Interest campaign has resulted in what I'd call a relatively large or significant number of sales, which we're confident will lead to an increase in housing supply for our communities in the future. And we're also confident that those sales will continue in this new financial year. So thank you, councillors. Handing over now to Acting General Manager, Infrastructure Utilities, Kim Downey.
Thank you. Through the chair, good morning, councillors. As referenced by the Acting GM communities, we did not achieve or complete all our deliverables from our operational plan. 5 of the deliverables actually sat with infrastructure and utilities. All have been extended for various reasons. They are progressing well, but the detail required, particularly with our gravel pits and water points, the extent of the network and requirements is still being assessed. And noting that our safety project that sits with the GM of Infrastructure and Utilities is actually a multi-year project. So, just touching on some of the key highlights from our department. Of course, I'm going to start with the Project Management Office and just flag that we submitted $41 million worth of projects for external funding for a value of $28.6 million. Through 8 funding programs. So if we have any success in those applications, that is a huge impact to Council's funding of the program. Another significant project with water utilities, the roof replacement of the 2 water reservoirs in Blackwater have been completed. That project, well, a significant outcome of that project is the improved water supply and contingency and security in Blackwater. The 9.1 megalitre reservoir has actually been offline for many years, so we have doubled the capacity for storage in Blackwater. Infrastructure, there has been a focus in completion of the footpath projects in particular, with the maintenance crews grading 301 kilometres of road during the 4th quarter. So, happy to take any questions on any of that, but I'll pass to Acting General Manager Communities.
Thank you, Kim. So, councillors, from a community's perspective, the Reconciliation Action Plan key deliverable was endorsed by Council in the May meeting and was submitted to the Reconciliation Australia for endorsement. The Reconciliation Action Plan will see the implementation of practical actions to achieve Council's vision for reconciliation and focus on strengthening relationships, staff engagement and innovative approaches to empowering Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Some of the key hero stats for the Communities Department was that in Q4, 17 new development applications were received, which is great for our region, with 17 applications also being determined within the quarter. A total of 17 applications were received for the economic stimulus policy, which is Council's economic stimulus initiative, and 16 of those applications were approved with a total incentive amount of $117,000 and $117,032 granted across all of those streams back into our community and businesses. Within the Springsure Art Awards were also held within the quarter, with 59 artists submitting a total of 113 artworks. I'll hand over to General Manager of Corporate and Commercial.
Thank you, Acting General Manager. Through the chair. In the final quarter of 24-25, the Commercial and Corporate Services Department delivered key outcomes across our sections, including the ICT team continued to deliver on Council's cyber security master plan, achieving key milestones in system hardening, staff training and threat detection. These efforts support Council's resilience and readiness in an increasing digital operating environment. A business model review was undertaken to identify opportunities for operational efficiency and service enhancement of the Emerald Airport. Long-term planning and aligns with the draft master plan that was presented to Council today. Stage 1 of the review was completed in this quarter and Stage 2 is identified in the Operational Plan 25-26. During the first quarter, the customer service team organised community consultation sessions in Bohenia, Duringa, Gindi and Springshaw. And finally, I would like to acknowledge the 2 of our customer service team trainees who successfully completed their Certificate 3s in Business Administration. On behalf of the CEO, I would like to acknowledge the work undertaken, which has laid a strong foundation for continued improvement and innovation as we move into 25-26. I now hand back to the Chair.
Thank you. So just handing over to councillors for questions and comments. And Councillor Cypher, as a mover, do you have any? No. No? Are there any other questions or comments? Councillor Hindmarsh.
Through the Chair, I read through this report, spent a lot of time on it. No, not everything has gone to time, stayed on time as we would have liked, but I think it's worth extending my gratitude towards all within the organisation that have done, I believe, worked very diligently to progress these projects under what I would say call testing conditions, especially when it comes to staffing. So from me, thank you very much, and I'm more than satisfied with where we are at.
Councillor Newman.
Yeah, through the Chair, it's great to see many of those bigger projects and key projects highlighted and completed. I think there's been some wise decisions in the one that was ceased, and I believe that those that are ongoing look promising, and we've witnessed today the master plan and other actions going forward. So I think some of those have actually progressed during July. So I'd like to congratulate everyone in the many changes that have happened throughout the organisation in keeping on track and keeping going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually just wanted to make comment on the deliverables 17 and 18, so our gravel pit program and regional water point construction. So because they're not just operational projects, they're strategic investments that underpin the sustainability of a rural road maintenance program. Yes, both have experienced extended timeframes, but this is with extended project scopes and additions to the networks. But the importance of reaching these goals cannot be overstated. So the gravel pit program allows council to source gravel locally, cutting haulage costs and improving our responsiveness to maintenance needs. The regional water points reduce the logistical and financial burden of transporting water for roadworks, particularly for dust suppression and compaction. These initiatives directly reduce the cost imposed to council. More importantly, they enable us to do more with the resources that we have, extending the reach and quality of our maintenance efforts across the rural road network. In a time of rising service delivery costs and increasing community expectations, these programs are essential to maintaining infrastructure without compromising financial sustainability. So completing these projects will not only deliver immediate operational efficiencies, but also strengthen our long-term capacity to serve rural communities. Their success will be a clear demonstration of Council's commitment to smart planning, cost control and resilient service delivery. So I look forward to seeing them progress. So if there's no closing comments, the officer recommendation is that Central Highlands Regional Council receives the Central Highlands Regional Council Operational Plan 2024-25 Quarter 4 Performance Report pursuant to Section 1743 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 of Queensland. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour? All those carried. We now move to 12.5.1, the Central Highlands Development Corporation Service Level Agreement Update 2024-25 Quarter 4. Can I have a mover, please? Mover, Councillor Cypher. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Burns. And handing over to Acting General Manager Communities, Jason Houlihan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of the CEO, Council CEO Aaron Johansson, I'd just like to introduce this report presented by Peter Dowling, the Chief Executive Officer of Central Highlands Development Corporation. So this report is for the Central Highlands Development Corporation to provide a quarterly update to Central Highlands Regional Council for the period of April to June 2025 in accordance with the service level agreement between both organisations. I'll now hand over to Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Council and officers. Always appreciate the opportunity to report on last quarter's activities. As you'd be aware, there's a written report and scorecard for the operational plan as part of this reporting process. I'll step through the presentation as we go. So just always reminding ourselves, myself as well, of our corporate strategy and those key deliverable areas that we have defined as a group that we wish to pursue, and that these are in line with our economic master plan as well. So just wanted to step through and give you a sense of, as you'd notice, councillors and officers, the last reporting presentation we're now positioning them under certain topics. So this is governance, and in the governance space, we've had 2 engagements with our board in that quarterly period. One was a general meeting and the other was a strategy session. The strategy session was held in alignment with our farm-to-fine dining exercise in Brisbane, and we invited some key speakers to present to us on the day, which were really informative. The three speakers there were from the Farmers Federation, Trade and Investment Queensland and the State Coordinator General. So really important those relationships are fostered and continued. We had, in fact, set up a meeting last week for the proponents of the Yamala Enterprise Area stakeholder group with the Coordinator General and the Acting Deputy Director General of that department. So those relationships are being fostered and moved forward as well. So that's really pleasing. It was also a period of time for us to ensure that we had our budget in place and approved, and also our operational plan and the extension of our service level agreement with both organisations. So that was an important area of work for us. Stepping into the projects area, this is a large project that Council would be aware of over a couple of years now. Importantly, in that last quarter, we did a lot of work in the enhancing early childhood education and care space. It was a lot of going to the community. We had community chats across Emerald and Blackwater, our key pilots in this particular project. Really great reception and engagement. Over 140 families came to those 2 days. We've also been engaging with 9 of the 12 centres in the region with regards to site visits and surveys and ongoing conversations. And in fact, this week we will be doing another session with them on Thursday morning just to give them a sense of the findings that we have from that report and some of the recommendations that we'd like them to get their head around and contribute to as well. So that's an ongoing piece of work that's quite demanding, but really important for our region. This just gives you some imagery regarding those weekends, which were really pleasing. There is an action plan update for the workforce development and accommodation strategy. So if anyone would like that, I can bring hard copies across, but they're all online as well. So we are trying to be quite transparent on our website as to how we're going with each of the 16 actions so that everyone can see them. Some progress faster than others, but we're heading in the right direction. As part of that, we had an action there with the Bill 12 and 12 Expression of Interest campaign. I think it was important, that campaign, that there were a few things that came out of that. It was an ability to stimulate the marketplace. That was the main thing that we were trying to do, and give them an opportunity to step through a process with CHDC in partnership with Council. So at the time we had 9 responses to that directly, and there were others on the periphery that came as a consequence of that. Of those 9, we walked them through. We did a bit of a concierge service with Council. So we had the acting CEO of Council at the time and members from the Planning and Development Department sit in conversations with those 9 and gave them that direct access so that they could get a sense of whether they could go forward with their initiatives or not, and better understand the process with Council going forward, which is really important. So we did a little bit of hand-holding there, which was really important. The modular display home that many of you would have been through was there for over 12 months. We had over 200 people through it. It's actually probably more like 300, to be fair, that went through the facility over that time. The outcome of that is that it's now been transferred off that lot, and it is over at Queensland Health at the Emerald Hospital site. It's been re-erected and added to because it's in a flood zone there, so it looks a little bit different to where it was. But the intent there was that Queensland Health now get access to a modular home through a great arrangement with one of our local resource companies, and hopefully we can staff 2 people that we didn't, beforehand. So a pleasing outcome there as well. I think the importance of the expression of interest was more the stimulation of the marketplace, and what Council and others are doing in that space are really important for us. I'll step into the next slide. So what we have identified is that there has been an approval that went through Council of 14 home modular sort of developments at a particular site in Emerald. That was a direct consequence of just the stimulation of that marketplace. The other one is that working with Council and looking at their stats for the 12-month period of this campaign, we did actually build more than 12 houses in the 12 months. And that's not a CHDC thing, that's a collective stimulus across region. But it's pleasing to see that outcome when we were averaging 10 per year. It's nice to get above that number. It's not a lot above that number, but it's a step in the right direction. And I think, as Council knows, we also worked very closely with our property section at Council to stimulate that market space and stimulate that opportunity within the capital budget of Council to step out into the land release that's currently underway. So we're very pleased with the work that we did with Reece and his team, and the constant communication has been really valuable for both parties. Fair airfares was also another action within the workforce development and accommodation strategy. It has progressed. We had one meeting in April last quarter, and then there was a meeting in July. it really is at a point now where we were focusing very much on those regional resident fare scheme and the opportunity for our region to be included in that program. It is now back in the hands of Qantas. They've taken all discussion internally, and we're waiting on an outcome as to whether that would be granted or whether there's some other prospect that may come out of our discussions. One of the good things that it has led to is interest from Qantas just to have more regular conversations to better understand what's happening in region. So the last conversations were effectively the CEO of Council and myself. Previous ones included the Mayor as well. So we will follow through and determine whether there's an outcome that Qantas can share with us, and we'll share it with yourselves once we find out. Councillors and officers, you'd be aware this program is coming through Council. It's sort of auspiced by Council, but CHDC is delivering it just through the funding arrangements. We were managing that process, otherwise we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do this project at all. We are at that new design stage. We've got our theming. We're just going back internally with our design team to get those final designs. There's about 50 signs from memory, so once they are finalised in the next couple of weeks, all being well, we will look to have them installed in that December period, obviously conditions permitting, but that is the goal at the moment. So we're looking forward to that. Just wanted to step through. We do obviously a variety of work around engaging with the business community in particular, and others in community. So we have a number of workshops across that period of time, creative content for social media, mentoring for growth, digital safety essentials were a few that come to mind. And they're all important, and we did get some really good numbers for our region and size. You know, that right-hand shot really says that there's probably about 30 in that particular session, which is great. And we will continue to identify opportunities to take that forward wherever we can. The networking continues. We had 3 sessions first Friday of every month. Won't be next Friday because we have our Business Excellence Awards that weekend, so that'll be the gap in that time frame. But always pleasing. We average about 12 people participating. No agenda, just turn up and share on a Friday evening between 5 and 7. So that is working well at this point in time. And we do get around to other localities in this quarter. This quarter we actually went to Outback Exploratorium for one of our networking sessions. So we do try and get it around so we can share the love. In the event space, Farm to Fine Dining was obviously a signature event with the 10-year celebration. Some of the outcomes there, so 81 guests. We launched the ag video, so that was a new video promoting our agriculture in region. It was really well received on the night. The post-event video on Facebook had 13,700 users, and that's so far. And we had some really interesting guests, some late arrivals that came from a global investment firm that are doing some work with state government around agriculture investment. They only do four events a year in that space, and they've identified Brisbane for next year. And so they were highly impressed with what we had to offer on the night as an example of what Queensland can offer in that agricultural space. So to get that feedback internationally is always pleasing. I think the other thing is that we do get good spread across media. So radio interviews with Rural Queensland Today and articles, good strong articles in Emerald Today and Queensland Country Life, and also a story on Win News Central Queensland. So it's good to showcase our region and get that across other mediums as well. The Business Excellence Awards program is well underway. So this is the program side. The gala is what's ahead of us in the coming weeks. Just to give you a sense of the snapshot there, we've got 163 nominations were submitted across 11 categories. 111 unique businesses were nominated and 58 completed entries were received, 31 finalists selected, and each of those went through an on-site visit by our judging panel. Interesting, our judges are all external to region. So we had the Small Business Commissioner, Dominique Lamb. We had a gentleman called Ben Hughes from Hughes et al. He does a lot of work in regions around local content for major projects. And we also had Jennifer Maguire from Oz Industry. So she's the regional manager for Oz Industry. So we're really pleased to get those to our region and expose them to our businesses. They were highly impressed with our businesses, which did not surprise me. They actually came up with three additional distinction awards that they wish to honour 3 individuals for. So that's the flexibility that we have with our judging panel. They do come back to us from time to time with an additional thought or two around the outcomes. So that's pleasing. As you'd see there are 67 nominees for the People's Choice Awards and over 3,800 cast a vote. So there's quite a lot of people voting there. When we talk about the program, that gives you a sense of the workshops that go behind the event, and they carry through from the start of this year effectively. And so you can see that, over 75 attendees participated across those events, noting that the last one, the low stress speaking, offered only to the finalists. So we do try and tailor that to the finalists to give them that opportunity to learn that pitching skill and that ability to speak in front of others. And it is offered to others in community as well, but we ensure that our finalists have that first right of attendance. And then as that indicates, there are some individual one-on-one sessions through the Mentoring for Growth program for our team, our finalists. This year's business lunch was a really exciting one. Bernard Salt, many would know Bernard, but we hadn't had him in region for some 15 years, and he is just a really clever man who can put together really good information but convey it to your region's interests. And that was our briefing, and he delivered on that very well. That was on the 9th of May. So those takeaways are really important. Never bet against Australia. We are at the peak rebellion politically, and from childcare to aged care. So three really key themes that he did talk about, and there's some detail around each of those. But I think we had over 110 registrations, and on the day, probably around the 80 mark, we do get a dropout rate with a lot of events, as you would well know. But the room was full, and the exciting side of that program was that we always try and involve students, and we have student bursaries, and we did get a lot of students there. And the really pleasing thing was that Bernard engaged very well with the students and really took that on in a proactive way. So that was pleasing. Obviously, the upcoming event is our gala, and we look forward to hosting the region for that event in the coming Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but the following. Just thought we'd give you a sense of some of the engagements that we have. They're detailed, obviously, in the CEO's report, but those events on screen range from CHRC has an economic development practitioners group, so we do get together from time to time and engage and share our interests and our knowledge and what's going on in our patch. That group was particularly interested in renewables that day, and we talked about whether there was an ability to set up some principles or guidelines for local government to engage with renewable projects. So you would have seen some of the legislation go through state governments around community benefit, and what's happening is that some of our local governments are in the thick of it, and others are on the fringe of it, and others aren't in it at all. But the discussion was, is there an ability to give our leaders, your good selves, some guidelines or principles that could hold in good stead when engaging with these renewable projects around that community benefit side of the equation. So that may come out as a joint piece of work going forward. Destination 2045 was the tourism strategy for the Queensland Government, so I was down in Brisbane for the launch of that. A really interesting night, and there were some good snippets of our region in their promo videos, which was pleasing. Also went to the CEDA Queensland Energy Market Outlook, and that's Paul Simshauser on the right. He's the CEO for Powerlink, so it was really interesting to understand the dynamics of that power market. Quite complex, but yeah, just some challenging work ahead of this state and this country in that space. A couple of other engagements. That's the Infrastructure Association of Queensland. They held their major projects breakfast. Again, attended that to better understand where that push is on, and we had Graham Frayne, the DG for that department, give a sort of a keynote with some other key speakers, and that was always great. Deputy Premier had a wonderful engagement with Council, a joint engagement, which was really pleasing. An hour and a half with a senior leader in this state is really valuable time, and it was worked very well across all that was in attendance. And obviously Minister Last was here with the Emerald Forum, and we engaged with him after that forum as well, just to showcase the work that we're doing in region and beyond. So stepping into some analytics, and we do monitor our analytics in terms of our platforms. Probably hard to go through that detail, but safe to say that the Central Queensland Highlands website had an increase of 21% for the year, so that's the financial year. CHDC's website had an increase of 7.4% for the year, and page views were up 41% on that site for the year. We also look at our social media, obviously, and the CHDC Facebook was up 32%. CHDC LinkedIn was down 3%. The Central Queensland Highlands Facebook was strong and consistent with over 637,000 users, so that's really pleasing. The Central Queensland Highlands Instagram was up 170%, and we can attribute that directly to Rowena Davies and our team came on full time from February this year onwards. She was always a part-time or a casual worker with CHDC, and so we gave her the task of focusing on Central Queensland Highlands 1 day a week. So usually her Mondays are focused on Central Queensland Highlands and promoting it, getting it out there on the social platforms. And she did a special campaign as well, which is the next slide. One of the things we try to be receptive to is, what is happening in that visitation space, and we knew that this year, just through all our local indicators and talking to others, was a slow year, a slow start, and so Rowena put forward a marketing campaign that we funded internally to get out the message around our region, and that was really important. So some really good numbers that came back through there. So, ads were shown, 316,000 times and reaching 76,000 users. That's a mighty impact. And one of the other things that we did in that space that we talk about is the Sunrise TV campaign that was held as well. That was a direct result of CHDC working with Queensland Country Tourism. You fund those activities, they're not freebies. It's an $11,000 fund to do that activity, and CHDC contributed $2,000 to that. So it's a good exercise of working with your regional tourism operator or organisation and coming up with a way of trying to generate interest in our region to get those visitors on the go. We also have business tools, and they're steady and constant. We've got over 280 registered users of the Grant Guru site. Again, it's a free platform to the user. It's something CHDC funds internally. Tap into Tenders is a piece of work that's done through our business facilitator role, and again, over 500 businesses access that at the moment. That's pretty steady. That hasn't changed a lot, to be fair, nor has the 280. That's been quite steady for probably 12 months, I'd suggest. So at times we do posts and boost the opportunity to our community to get on there, and it's not about boosting numbers, it's just trying to give them that opportunity to access business opportunities, and particularly for our community groups in the Grant Guru side of things, you know, seeing what's coming down the pipeline in terms of grants that they can access. If we step into publications, a lot of work happened in the last quarter, and that was mainly because in the first quarter we had a lot of weather implications. We postponed some visits 4 times before we could get them off the ground and get out and about in our good region. So this one is the visitor economy photo shoot and video shoot, which is really pleasing to get out there. The challenge there, the implication too, you'll see later when I go through it, the visitor guide is usually due out in that sort of March, April sort of period. Due to the hold up in the imagery that we were getting, we weren't able to get that into market in a timely fashion. We still have our other guides in the market, which is great, but we wanted to fast track that and get our visitor guide out as soon as we could once we got this imagery in. Again, the agribusiness photo and video shoot, it was a real, that's the one that had 5 times delayed. The other one had some delays as well, the previous shoot. 4 times delayed, and they did it the 5th time. So always pleasing to get this done. We hadn't had an ag video for our region since about 2018, I'm going to say. So it was pleasing to have the resources to do it again. And it worked in very well with our farm-to-fine dining exercise as well, where we were able to make an additional piece of video for that event as well. Again, lots of stats for each of these publications that you can go into, councillors and officers. This was the Ag Capability Statement. We did this in partnership with Department of Primary Industries in a collaboration agreement. A really valuable piece of work that we were able to present to the Minister at recent deputations. Not many regions that we've seen actually do this sort of work for their region and really put that capability out there in the marketplace. It already is being used, you know, with those global investment people that came to our farm-to-fine dining exercise, so they've effectively eaten the produce. Now they see the data behind our sector, which is really important. Survey, which we do annually, the business survey, so a really good piece of work. The good thing now is that it's starting to build some longevity. So we do have set questions that carry through, and we can now, and over time we have been monitoring what's changing, you know, the indicators that are there, what's going up, what's going down. Not a lot of change in this one, to be fair. We got a great uptake, 181 responses. That's very good in survey land of our business community. Obviously, some of the key findings are probably what we would all expect. You know, if we look at the top one there, business conditions remain stable. Rising costs remain a key concern. Staffing challenges persist, and business sentiment for the year ahead is cautiously optimistic. I could probably rinse and repeat that for last year's business survey, but The beauty is of our region and our business community is we're still seeing optimism, we're still seeing resilience through that survey feedback as well, and the conversations that we have with business. So that is pleasing, but we will continue to do this piece of work. And we're able to present this piece of work, this collateral, to the Minister for Small and Family Business at the recent deputations, and he was very pleased. He's a bit of a data person, he said, and he was interested in the data and whether, you know, the longitudinal aspects of this survey could hold true, and you get that trend analysis over time. So that was pleasing to hear his interests. This is a new report. So destination IQ reports are a culmination of CommBank Services, Tourism and Events Queensland, and the RTO network, so Queensland Country Tourism being part of that. And this is the first lot of information that we've received from that particular method of capturing data. Data, as we know, even with the previous capability study, is incredibly difficult to get consistency and accuracy, particularly at a local government level. So we will be getting data for July and August and going forward. It's still in a pilot phase, the testing of this process with the three parties, but we're very hopeful that it can give us some good information consistently over time. So presenting that June data there, I won't go through it in great detail. What we do know, having seen the July data and the August data from memory, July has seen a little tick up, which is pleasing, knowing that we've put some effort in that space to try and get that tick up with our visitation. Whether they correlate is another matter, but we think there's some value in that. This was the Sunrise TV exercise. CHDC doesn't have a lot to do with the actual program on the day. We get to have a lot of input into getting them there, funding them, and they define the locality. The program defines the locality, not even sometimes Queensland Country Tourism have influence and have those discussions with the program producers. All their talent that came into region were highly impressed with what was done on the day, and it went very well. It was great to get some councillors out there as well as some of our team just to be part of that experience. Our Visitor Economy Coordinator does showcase region at certain shows, namely Brisbane, which is the Let's Go Queensland and Caravan Camping Super Show. The feedback there is that it was an increase of attendance by 18.5%, which was pleasing, and there were 14 tourism promotional groups who took part. And as you can see, the numbers, there's quite an increase in the numbers of attendees as well, which reflects on the 18.5%. Importantly, we did do some work with the Gemfields to offer a competition with rewards. So we did that at that show in Brisbane. As you can see, there's 214 entries. And we also did that at the Rockhampton show. They have an expo as well, not a show, but the sort of an expo for caravanners and campers. And the feedback from Roger was that that was a really good add-on that really brought people to the booth for discussion and opportunity. So good incentive. Obviously, we treasure our volunteers across all parts of our region. The ones that touch us closely are our Visitor Information Centre volunteers, and thanks to our board directors who went on the road and caught up with them in Springshaw, also Emerald, and in Jeringa. We did the Blackwater Jeringa one at Jeringa that day, so really great to give them the credit they deserve for their many years, some of them, 30 plus years, some of them, volunteering in this space alone, let alone other things they do for our region. If we step through the ops plan, there are, by exception, a a few items that I just wanted to go through that are carryovers. So if we look at the first one, we have the economic profile. We didn't deliver it in the last financial year. We always look at that document and see what its need is and whether we do it again, whether we leave people to access all of that data online, which many are doing, so where does our effort and resource go? What we did do though, we've learnt from recent engagements in region that people like a document that has a bit of everything. So we did create a regional overview, which is now available. It's online, happy to bring over copies, and it's a combination of that high level economic data and some industry information around our key 3 sectors and also the major projects. So it's trying to give a sense of broader than just all economic data. It's a bit of everything. So that has already been produced as we speak. It was produced in time for deputations last week. So the other one is the tourism stakeholder groups. We are well behind on that. We are carrying that over and still intend to do that. One of the challenges there is when we missed the opportunity at the start of the year before the season, that really puts us in a pickle. So we are picking that up once the season dies down, and we'll sort of commence that stakeholder group so that we can engage with them and they can be party to the delivery of our economic or our visitation strategy as well, or action plan. Other things that are in that is the geo signage trail. It's a carryover on the basis that it was always going to be a carryover. It's a long-term project. We are hoping that we can get the installation in by Christmas, but its actual due date is April 26. The photo shoot was delayed, as I said, regarding the guide being delayed. So that is now with the designers. We're just waiting on the first proof to come back, and we'll review that, and that'll be out in market hopefully within the month. So that's one of the challenges too with the visitor guide. It is not all funded by CHRC. We require advertising to get that off the ground. And as you'd appreciate at the start of this year when we were going around seeking that, very tough environment. So we didn't get as much advertising as we had in the previous iteration. And that then comes back to us to look at our own budget and see what we can carry. That also adds to the challenge. Less about the delay, but more the challenge of how many pages can we afford to do, that sort of stuff when you get into the visitor guide itself. The Frontier CQ Innovation Roadmap project was always going to be a carryover. Since I think we reported to council and officers previously that we did a variation of the deliverable dates. So it's now due for final report on the 1st of December. So that's not uncommon with projects where they have variations to continue. I think the other area we just wanted to highlight was the Economic Master Plan Action Plan. That's an ongoing piece of work. You know, it goes out to 2028, so it will always be an ongoing piece of work. We have a workshop this Thursday afternoon, so really looking forward to being part of that and better understanding it. The other one is the technology platform. We've been working on a SharePoint hub with council, and it's proving a real challenge. It is a carryover, but we are actually reporting to our board at the next board meeting around whether we transition to another platform or not, and just persist with what we were trying to get is that efficiency of accessing folders and files effectively. And SharePoint, when you're bringing over an old system of filing, is a good place to have it. It's just the ability to refine it takes a lot of time. And when you're a flat organisation like ours, it just falls back on myself or someone within the team to drive that project. So that's proved a challenge. I think that deliverables there speak for themselves. 57 actions through the ops plan. 51 of those are complete and 6 are outstanding, with some of those already complete anyway, like the regional overview. So that's probably 5 outstanding. if we step into the finances, happy to report that with the CHRC funding, we have, I'll cut to the chase, an overall underspend of 6%, and that is a combination of an underspend in our directors category of 5%. Our remuneration is down 3%. Our overheads were down 21%. And these were through small underspends across a lot of categories as listed in the presentation and the report. For both, we have two accounts. As you know, councillors and officers, we have a general account and then we have a tourism account within what you see as our sort of budget. So across both of those accounts, there are small underspends that equate to that number. I think the challenge for me when I read budgets is often that last area that we've talked about previously, where your forecast budget doesn't capture external funding that comes in after it. And so we've had a lot of external funding coming after it. So that's often seen as extra income in, but there's contractors and consultants that you use to deliver those funding programs that you have a spend in. So we are overspent with the total overall budget of 23%, but I know that's a timing issue with those projects, those externally funded projects. So I think that does it for an overview, and just wanted to leave you with that lovely image of Lake Maribyrnong. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. So now opening up to councillors for questions and comments. Councillor Cypher.
Thank you. With your indulgence, Madam Mayor, and if technically possible, because we have a very light agenda, I was wondering if we would be able to view the Central Highlands Agriculture, The Future is Growing Here video. I'm not sure whether we can just click on a link and just watch that. With your indulgence?
I think we could do that, Councillor Cypher.
Let me step back. Yeah, it's embedded in.
Yeah, you might just be able to click on that link.
Yep.
And I'll reserve my other comments until the close.
Noted.
Publications. So we get closer. There we go.
Is it that? No, that's the statement. I think it's in here.
Yeah.
The future is growing?
Yep. Yep.
Welcome to the Central Highlands, Queensland, a region of productivity, diversity and innovation. With a superb year-round climate, great...
Want me to have a go?
I don't know if it's working. Sorry.
Okay.
I can email it out to everybody. It's working on there, but it's just not working.
Everyone can access it through the site. I just thought some of the viewers may have this.
Would have been a good opportunity.
Good opportunity to put it to the public. That's okay.
Okay. Unfortunately, with technology, it doesn't always want to play the game.
I can probably put it up on the screen after.
No, it's for the meeting I wanted to.
Okay, sorry.
I have seen it a number of times.
So are there any other questions or comments? Councillor Hindmarsh.
Thanks, through the chair. Thanks very much, Peter. I look forward to your reports, believe it or not. I do. I enjoy them. There's lots of highlights in there for me. But there's two that I wanted to just touch on. I was amazed by the online traffic, the increases in the online traffic. I thought those figures were quite impressive. I hope that means that there's a hell of an increase in interest for all parts of the Central Highlands, in whether it be the tourism or business opportunities and for to do with accommodation. The 12 and 12 I feel was very successful, and I think it was a good precursor for. I think from feedback that I've had personally, I think it was a good introduction for the believe it or not, for the land for the release of land that council put up. I think it did help with the response that we've had with the land release. And it did. I've again from personal contact. There's two prospective businesses that I've spoken to that have shown interest to moving business to the Central Highlands because they have seen these other initiatives being pushed. So. The work that CHDC is doing as an arm of council, I feel, is very important, and congratulations.
Thank you. Councillor Newman.
I'll just wait until after the video.
Fabulous. Well, hopefully all things are working. For those present and online, here is the Central Highlands Agriculture.
Welcome to the Central Highlands, Queensland, a region of productivity, diversity and innovation. With a superb year-round climate, great soils and a reliable water supply from the Fairburn Dam, we produce premium beef, grains, pulses, cotton, mandarins and table grapes that are in high demand all around the world. Come take a look for yourself.
The Central Highlands is one of Australia's most prolific cattle producing areas. We use world-class genetics to deliver top quality pasture and grain-fed beef backed by lifetime traceability. The Emerald Sale Yards plays a vital role in the region's beef supply chain, hosting one of Queensland's leading weekly fat and store sales.
Central Highlands growers are proud to be part of the Australian cotton industry. AgTech has allowed us to use water to grow cotton sustainably and efficiently, producing high quality and consistent fibres. Our cotton is processed here locally at state-of-the-art gins in Emerald and Yamala, destined for markets in China and Vietnam.
Thanks to the rich soils and great climate, the Central Highlands grow cereals and legumes year-round. Sorghum and wheat are our primary cereal crops, grown across big acres with big machinery. We're also a major contributor to Queensland's pulse industry, growing beautiful, nutritious chickpeas and mung beans.
From the Central Highlands, we're bringing you the juiciest mandarins and fresh, crisp table grapes. Our subtropical climate and reliable water supply help us grow premium fruit that's in demand across both our domestic and international markets.
Innovation is at the heart of Central Highlands agriculture. With a strong track record in developing and adopting new solutions, our region leads in AgTech. At the Central Queensland Smart Cropping Centre, we're researching and trialling technologies to help farmers build resilience and boost productivity.
The future of Central Highlands agriculture is exciting, with new commodities, AgTech and emerging industries, all supported by our advanced intermodal freight facilities. Productive, diverse, driving innovation, that's the Central Highlands.
They don't believe how toxic this is.
I can't stop it here. It's not on my screen.
Abort mission. Thank you for that. Councillor Newman.
Through the chair. Yes, congratulations, Peter. CHDC are doing lots of wonderful things. On a note, just around the signage project though, I have had community feedback on that was a partnership project previously between Council and Tourism Queensland at $600,000. And there was a lot of community engagement during that process and a lot of community collaboration throughout the project. So just that rebranding, if you can get the messaging out on where you're at currently and what's going to be happening, that would be welcomed.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. And our Visitor Economy Coordinator has got a working group in the Gemfields that he liaises with on a regular basis. But yeah, more than happy to share that update with others. Yep. And we do look at our e-news at times for opportunities to do that, but I'll take that on board. Yeah.
Thank you. I just probably, Peter, just want to make an overall comment about appreciate the comprehensive nature of your CEO's report. It's often hard to find the tangibles in development undertakings, but the level of the analytics that you put in clearly shows all the work that's put in behind the scenes. And I guess when you made mention that one of the opportunities was putting, local people locally in touch with global investment firms at one of our functions, and also noting that there was a significant engagement with state and federal politicians at that same time with that group was a wonderful thing to see. So hopefully something does come from that. And so I guess if there's any other comments or closing comments.
Thank you. I'd just like to acknowledge the team at CHDC. Everything that CHDC presents, whether it's a gala event or a monthly Friday catch-up down for the small business, is done with an extreme high professionalism. And that, we have a very small team over there, and the amount of work that team comes together to do is exceptional. I don't think there is another organisation, including council, that puts on the standard of events that CHDC does with such a small team. They all throw in together and they work together to achieve extreme high standards. And I just want to acknowledge each and every one of those people that work at CHDC and their contributions, including yourself, Peter. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So councillors, the officer recommendation is that Central Highlands Regional Council notes the Central Highlands Development Corporation's quarterly update for the period of April to June 2025 in accordance with the surface level agreement between both organisations. This has been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Have a good day.
So item 12.4.1, which is infrastructure and utilities, we have nil reports. That was before that, sorry. And now moving on to item 12.7.1, the Australian Local Government Association 2025 National Local Roads Transport and Infrastructure Congress. Can we have a mover for that one, please? Moved Councillor Cruz. Seconder? Councillor Donaldson, and handing over to Acting General Manager of Communities, Jason Houlihan. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm presenting this report today on behalf of our Chief Executive Officer. So the Australian Local Government Association, or ALGA, as they are commonly known, is the peak body which serves the 537 local government bodies in Australia. Each year, ALGA holds an annual conference that focuses on the local road and transport networks. The National Local Roads Transport and Infrastructure Congress is an annual local government event featuring experts and guest speakers covering a comprehensive program focused on roads, transport, mobility, road safety and community infrastructure. This year the Congress is being held in Bendigo, Victoria from the 11th to the 12th of November. A copy of the draft agenda for the Congress is attached to the report within your agendas. This is a valuable opportunity to advocate for regional roads and transport, with Council historically attending this Congress. Last year, however, the decision was made not to attend the Congress, which was in the Margaret River area of Western Australia, due to logistical issues. From a council perspective, Councillors Moriarty and Cruz are representatives on the Bowen Basin Regional Roads Transport Group, with the Deputy Mayor being the Deputy Chair of that group. Councillor Cruz also represents the Council as a member of the LGAQ Roads and Transport Advisory Group. The cost of attending the Congress is estimated to be approximately $3,779 per attendee, with the allowance being made for up to 3 councillors to attend within the budget. The Congress does not clash with a General Council meeting, however there is a clash with community commitments of Remembrance Day on the 11th of November and the Emerald Community Consultation Session, which is currently scheduled for the 12th of November. Councillors, this report seeks interest in councillor attendance to the 2025 Congress. Thank you.
Thank you. As the mover, I'll just make an opening statement. So, as a member of the LGAQ Roads and Transport Advisory Group and Deputy Chair of the Bowen Basin Regional Roads and Transport Group, I have a strong and ongoing interest in our region's road network, and I know this interest is shared by all of our councillors. However, I have concerns about the upcoming Congress. The program is provisional and subject to change without notice. And in my view, the cost to council outweighs the benefit of councillor attendance. I believe that this conference or another similar, our interest would be better represented by appropriate council officers who could engage with the content from a practical and operational perspective. So now opening up to councillors. Councillor Donaldson.
I agree with Deputy Mayor Rachel Cruz. I don't think this is money well spent by councillors. I think it'd be a lot more beneficial if a staff member relating to our roads was able to go to it. I've got a high interest in roads, obviously, because I live in the bush, and roads is probably the most important thing for anyone that lives in the bush for transport of their goods to market. But I can't agree with, I'll be voting against it anyway.
Councillor Whiteman.
Through the chair, there are, in my opinion, there are only a couple of really good reasons to attend these congresses or conferences. One is for the learnings involved, and the other is for the lobbying that we can do. If this was about learning about roads, then possibly we should send our engineers, the people who actually design the roads, because they're the ones that we have to follow. If this was about lobbying, well then Councillor Cruz would be top of my list, because she has got the credentials around rural roads. I'm unsure of the lobbying abilities within this Congress, and it's not suggested that we're sending anybody who actually designs the roads. It would be a nice to have, and if it was a bit more local, then I would certainly be supporting sending somebody. But for the cost of it, and for the uncertainty of the outcome, I really can't support this.
Councillor Newman.
Through the chair, I'm in agreement with everyone else in the roads conference. I believe the only value that it may offer would be to a staff member who is involved in the asset management of that infrastructure. And the main value is in the first day from just my quick overview on it. But I would support a staff member attending it if they deemed it necessary. Otherwise, I don't believe it's of value for any councillor attendance.
Councillor Cypher.
Thank you. Just in the detail in writing these reports, I was wondering if we could have where the budget is, where it says the conference, how much we allocate to conferences and the year-to-date spend. I was wondering if we could also have a line there of what has been committed, because at the last council meeting, we committed $29,328 for 6 councillors to attend the Queensland Local Government Association. So even though that hasn't already come out of our budget, it has been committed under a council resolution. So in writing these reports, could we just have a little bit more transparency about not just what has come out of the bank, but what is already committed to coming out, if that would be possible?
Thank you, Councillor. That's noted. I take on notice your point there and will be considered for future reports. I do believe that some of the year-to-date accommodation and stuff that has been booked is within the year-to-date and flights, but there is still some additional costs to come through. Not the full cost hasn't been allocated year-to-date.
Certainly, you're right.
Yep.
So that is including, so that year-to-date, the 9,620 for registration and the travel and accommodation, 11,583, is the commitment from the last council meeting?
Some of it, Councillor, not all of it, not all the commitment, because there's still some costs that will come during the attendance to the course, to the conference.
Okay, because when I added it up, it didn't come to the previous commitment, so that's why I questioned it. So Thank you for clearing that up.
Thank you, councillors, for the discussion. So, again, while the Congress may not be strictly technical in nature, I still believe the greatest value lies in attendance by those with operational responsibilities who can apply insights directly to our service delivery and planning. Should future conferences be held closer to home or have a more meat on the bones, locked-in program, council can weigh up the positive impact relative to cost at the time when it comes up. Today, though, given the provisional nature of the program and the cost involved, I personally don't believe that council attendance represents the best return for our community. For that reason, I won't be supporting council participation at this event. So, with that said, councillors, the officer recommendation is that Central Highlands Regional Council be represented at the Australian Local Government Association 2025 National Local Roads and Transport and Infrastructure Congress to be held in Bendigo, Victoria from the 11th to the 12th of November 2025 by councillors, and none have been identified, so I guess we just take the vote. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favour? All those against? Lost. Thank you. So we have no decision action reports for closed session. No information reports from the Chief Executive Officer, and so now we are moving on to item 14.2.1, the record of proceedings, Central Highlands Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee planning meeting from the 4th of July 2025. Can I please have a mover for that one? Councillor Cypher, a seconder please. Councillor Cruz. And now handing over to Acting General Manager of Communities, Jason Houlihan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councillors, the Central Highlands Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee, known as CHRC, is a council committee established to supporting council's service delivery in the area of arts, culture and heritage. The committee met on the 4th of July with records of proceeding presented to you today. I'll take the report as read. I'll take the report as read, and happy to take any questions from that. Thank you. I have Lewis Gregory with me, the Arts and Cultural Officer, who attended the meeting. Should there be any questions?
Opening up to councillors for questions and comments. Did the mover have any opening comments?
I was an apology for this meeting, but just, and this is just off the cuff, I do apologise. With the Friday night in the in the forecourt, are we keeping a record of how many people might sit there and engage with the entertainment, or is that a little bit too difficult to do?
Through the chair, yes, Councillor Seifer, we are keeping record of attendees.
Then off the cuff, or take it on notice, how are we going with that? How many people are actually participating in the entertainment, like watching it?
Last time it was in the low 50s.
Oh, really? Oh, fantastic. Excellent.
And Councillor, obviously getting some feedback, there was some concerns around how it was advertised in terms of not enough advertising. Yep. So some of the additional advertising you'll see on the Council's Facebook page and other media outlets at the moment, we're trying to promote that for to get more attendees and more community awareness of the events.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? No, that's it. Okay. So the officer recommendation is that Central Highlands Regional Council receives the record of proceedings of the Central Highlands Regional Arts and Cultural Advisory Committee planning meeting held on the 4th of July 2025. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Carried. So we have nil reports for commercial and corporate services, nil reports for infrastructure and utilities, nil reports for people, safety and legal, nil reports coming from the Chief Executive Officer, nil reports for information reports for closed session. There are no late agenda items. We have nil notices of motion, and so we move to agenda item 18 for general business. Is there any general business coming from council? None? Then we move to agenda item number 19, which is community acknowledgements. Councillor Seifer.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Cass Evans, who is from Streamline Swimming Centre at the Capella Aquatic Centre, who recently attended the Australian Swim School Association National Conference in Sydney. As part of this event, the prestigious ASSA Award of Excellence dinner was held, where Cass was honoured with the title of the National Swim Teacher of the Year. Previous to that, Cass had been nominated by the Capella community to win the Queensland Swim Teacher of the Year title. So winning the Queensland title automatically progressed her to the 2025 National Gold Award for the Swim Teacher of the Year. The National Award attracted nominees from Western Australia, Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia, making Cass's recognition an outstanding achievement, not only for her personally, but also for the regional swim school being celebrated at a national level. I think this is an incredible achievement for someone in our region. It promotes our region and showcases the ability that is within our region as a rural area of Australia. I think this is absolutely exceptional. So on behalf of Council, I'd like to congratulate Cass for her great achievement and well done.
Thank you. Are there any other acknowledgements? Councillor Newman.
Through the chair, I would just like to note the CWA celebrations across the region. So that 100 years for Capella, Springshaw and soon to be Emerald is all being celebrated. And I was lucky enough to attend the Springshaw Day. And I know that Councillor Cypher and other councillors attended the Capella Day. So I look forward to the Emerald event.
Excellent, thank you. I guess probably it would be remiss of us, there was probably been, in the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of important proceedings that have happened, and I guess the most recent was yesterday was our seniors celebration for 2025. So that was celebrating our seniors who are the foundation of our community, and as mentioned yesterday, over the years they've built businesses, they've grown families, they've grown towns, and without them we simply wouldn't be enjoying the communities that we live in. So it was a fantastic event yesterday, and a good time was had by all. So appreciate all the efforts that went into delivering that one on behalf of the seniors in our community, and from all accounts they're gearing up for Capella in 2026. And then on the 17th of August, we need to acknowledge the recent visit from our Queensland Premier, David Crisafulli, and his team, his cabinet team. So we were able, as councillors on behalf of Central Highlands Regional Council and CHDC, all available councillors were able to participate with deputations and representation. So that was to continue the advocacy for the council's priority projects and advocacy plan, but also on behalf of community with regards policing and health and housing matters. And I guess probably just reiterating that we appreciate they came with some coin in their pockets. So there was an announcement from their Country Roads Connect program for $5 million for the Wintoon-Springton Road and $11.8 million for social housing announcement, which is 6 two-bedroom units and 12 one-bedroom units. So much appreciated, and I know that the community really did get involved in that, and there was a high level of participation, and that was really good to see. I also would like to now pause for a condolence notice. Queensland is a vast state and local government touches every inch of it. So yet despite the distance between us, we are in many ways a family. Today we pause to acknowledge the passing of one of our own, Frank Beveridge, former councillor and mayor of Charters Towers Regional Council. Frank gave more than 20 years of dedicated service to his community. He was a steady hand, a strong voice, and a tireless advocate for regional development. Frank believed deeply in the potential of North Queensland and worked hard to make sure that rural communities were heard, supported, and empowered. His leadership helped shape Charters Towers into the proud region it is today, and his influence reached far beyond council boundaries, enriching the wider local government community. Frank was not only a respected public servant or an avid enduro motorbike rider, but also a devoted family man. He is survived by his beloved wife, Sharon, and their 4 children, who shared in his journey and supported his service every step of the way. On behalf of the council and the wider local government family, we offer our deepest condolences to Sharon and their children and all who knew Frank best and loved him most. His legacy will live on in the communities he served and the lives that he touched. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the closure of our meeting for today at 11:59 a.m. Thank you. 10:59 a.m. I'm having a shocker.